If you feel like you're not exercising enough, this video is for you. Hi, I'm Shani Grewal and I've helped my clients release 10 to 35 pounds in weight, increase their energy levels and feel amazing in their bodies by transforming their health using a mind, body, spirit approach. And this is possible for you too. I often hear from my clients when I first start working with them that they think that they need to exercise more, they need to be doing more, that they need to be working out more. And yes, movement is super important for our bodies. But I'm going to share a little bit about myself and how I got into physical therapy. And so back in 2001 was when I first started working as a physical therapist, almost 25 years ago. And I chose physical therapy because I loved movement. I loved understanding the human body and how it worked. And I wanted to help people use their own bodies to help themselves feel better. And so for me, movement's always been very key and such an important part of my life. But I will add that I wasn't somebody who loved to exercise so much. Exercise and working out as such it wasn't something that I felt so easily drawn to. It felt like I had to force myself to do it a bit more. I have 2 dogs, so I often walk them once or twice a day. And that ends up being a whole lot of walking for me, which is great because I love it. I find that I get energized by my walking, and it's a time for me to connect with myself, connect in nature, taking the sun's rays and taking the fresh air and get some clarity and some uninterrupted thinking time. With this winter storm that we had this past weekend, which meant we got about close to probably a foot of snow. Not only the snow, we had temperatures that were wind chill that were close to minus 20, 23 at sometimes Celsius, which was crazy cold. So with that, I didn't go for a walk for several days. And what I did notice was I was not getting as much movement in, and I could feel this urge in me. I wanted to get more movement in my body. And I guess that was convenient considering this January, at the beginning of the year, I started the Journey of You movement activation in my school community, where we were going through new movement every day and movements that were easy to do if you're working at the desk, and they're movements that activate big muscles, support fat metabolism, and support flexibility and movement throughout the body. So since the whole family was at home as well and the roads pretty much blocked, nobody was able to leave the house, I chose to listen to my body and do regular movement throughout the day. And it really allowed me to connect with myself. It allowed me to have some downtime away from the family, me to feel into what I needed. And instead of forcing myself that I have to do this workout or this particular movement, I kind of let my body lead and see what area of my body needed the movement, what area felt like it needed a bit more attention as such, and let myself move with that. And then once I got moving, I chose to kind of listen into my body and see where I needed more movement, if it was more towards the ankle or the hips or the back, and just follow through with that. I will say is that I was actually not necessarily surprised, but I was reminded of the power of movement, and reminded of how it doesn't have to be that we have to do solid, huge amounts of movement to get the benefit, but it's just that we are listening to our body. And even if it's just like a few minutes, like 5 minutes. When I was doing this movement over the weekend, I started with the intention of just going in and I'm just going to give myself a few minutes, literally a few minutes. And often what I found is when I started with a few minutes, I would end up doing like 5 to 10 minutes at a time. And then I would go back to whatever activity I was doing. Even just a few minutes can make a big difference, because not only does it get the blood circulated through the body, it gets muscles activating, it gets the lymph circulating, it gets your body detoxing better. It also supports energy moving through the body, and everything is energy. So it supports the energy that doesn't serve us to shift and our body to get more of the energy that it does need. So even just small amounts of movement can make a huge difference, because one of the big things that our body needs is safety. When it feels safe, only then can it thrive, only then can it move into an expansion state. And when the body is staying stationary for extended periods of time, the body then signals that as it's in a potentially unsafe state. And when it's in an unsafe state, when it feels unsafe, it's not going to prioritize functions such as fat metabolism. It's not going to prioritize digestion. It's not going to prioritize anything that the body needs that is additional to just breathing and living in this moment. The actions that support your body to just stay alive is what it's going to focus on. So releasing weight, having more energy, and feeling amazing, those are not going to be prioritized. But when the body feels safe and we've got regular movement that can support your body to feel safe, it will then begin to support these states more easily and more consistently. If you think of yourself as somebody that doesn't like to exercise, doesn't like to move, or exercise isn't for me, or I hate exercising, it's important to just kind of be open to what is your relationship like with movement and with exercise. Because if you identify yourself as somebody that doesn't like to move, that's not going to be serving you to create movement and create safety in your body, because safety is huge if you want to release the excess weight, if you want to get your body in a state of thriving. So it can be helpful to check in with your relationship with movement and exercise and see how you feel about them. But it's also important to recognize that it's not about loving exercise like crazy and having to feel like you have to work out all the time. It's important to be aware, like, how can I incorporate movement more often? How can I support my body with what it needs? And movement allows it to feel safe. Movement allows the organs to work better. So how can I incorporate something like that? And movement also allows me to feel good in my body. So how can it be that I can just incorporate it more with ease through the day, more effortlessly? And so if you feel like you're interested in knowing more exercises or knowing more movements that you can just incorporate in the day, our Journey of You movement activation is definitely something you should check out. So if that's something that interests you, check out the link for my school community below, and that's something you can access right now. We are into the last week on there, but it's still available if you come in and join the community. So the first day of the winter storm, I did a whole lot of cooking, and I also did some things around the house. So I wasn't sitting a whole lot, and I was moving around, but I wasn't doing necessarily movements for my body, and I wasn't focused on moving my body in ways that felt good. I did a small little workout by myself, but that was about it. And then that second day, I decided I was going to listen to my body and do more movement through the day. Allow it to be short. Max was probably about 10 minutes, but probably closer to 3 to 5 minutes, up to 10 minutes is what I was doing. And I did that as often as I wanted, which was probably close to every hour or two for the solid block of the day. And with that, I noticed a big difference in how I felt that day. And my mood was just so much better. Even though I was more stuck indoors and I wasn't able to get out, I just felt so much better within my body. And so this is the big thing. Movement adds so much to our life. It's not only about doing big blocks of exercise. It's about using your body in a way that feels good. Some of my favorites are like the single leg exercises. They feel so good on how I'm balancing and challenging myself and bending and activating different muscles. And so I do truly believe that movement allows us to signal safety to the body. It allows us to move energy through the body. It allows us to use our muscles in ways that kind of challenge them, and as a result allows us to feel good about ourselves and how we are moving our body. It also supports our body on a physiological level to support detoxing, support muscles getting stronger. It supports blood glucose being used up and supports hormone levels. Obviously, it allows us to keep our bodies strong so we can move from one place to the other and continue to be as active as we continue moving through life. So movement allows us to do so much and gives us so much. I think it's really important for us to realize that it's not about doing solid blocks always. Yes, that can be helpful if your life allows you to do that, but I don't believe that if you can't get it done in a solid block that you should think it's an all or nothing situation. I think it's important to start off somewhere where you're starting with smaller, shorter exercises and incorporating it more frequently through the day. Adding in the movement is really allowing the identity to solidify of somebody who enjoys movement, of somebody who chooses movement that supports their body, to activate their body, to strengthen their body, to allow their body to keep as strong as possible. And as you choose that, as you choose more of that identity, it becomes easier to naturally choose more and more movement in your day. These small steps are literally huge because they support you to shift your self-identity. And when you're shifting your self-identity, those changes come there to last. And it isn't something where you're then dependent on willpower for exercising, because willpower is finite and it does run out, and it's not something you can depend on to make long-term changes stay for good. And so if you're interested in some movements that you'd like to incorporate through your workday, feel free to join our community and check out the Journey of You movement activation. I will see you next